I'm Lauren Theresa. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm a former trauma therapist turned content creator. I no longer practice. I do still have my license, but I renew it every 2, 3 years, and I have trouble letting go. So if you're new here, I talk a lot about minimalism and frugality, retiring early, and simplifying your life. And yes, slow living too. It's funny. Now that I can sleep in and wake up when I want to and go to bed when I want to, I'm generally asleep by 9:30 and I wake up between 5 and 6:30. If the sun is up, I'm up. If the birds are singing, there's no going back to sleep for me. My Fourplex, which provides me the semi-retired early status, is in Florida. And so I live in Hawaii, so East Coast time. I often, if there are things to work out and do, they are first thing in the morning. I first found out about FIRE, financial independence, retire early, even before it was called that, from the book Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. 100% recommend if you have not read it. It is in its 20th anniversary. I think I could be newer reprinting since I last read the latest reprinting, but Mr. Money Mustache was the latest intro writer for that. A big fan of that blog and his articles, and I love his TED style talk on YouTube. It's very uplifting and funny and such a strange and interesting personality. So I recommend that if you wanted to start reading on retiring early right now. We have a new cat. I have been listening to the audiobook Simplicity Parenting by Kim Jong Payne, by Mr. Payne. Yeah, and it's everything I knew. I watched several minimalist creators speak about him and about this method and said it was their favorite book. And I had given up on the experts helping me with parenting, but I didn't love the blueprint I was given on parenting my folks. They did great. But I wanted areas of improvement, areas that I wanted to work on that I didn't have modeling for. So simplicity parenting is one of them. I became a minimalist as a result somewhat of an overconsumptive childhood and being inundated with things and noise and a lot of chaos early in my life. So minimalism for me and slow living and simple living and frugal living certainly is a response. It's a nervous system response. I feel happier, more secure, and healthier living with less to clean, less to care for, less to think about, less to move around. I move a lot, so it's easier this way. When I stopped having to work all the time, I fell into this rut of not doing anything. And it took a while to untangle who I was from the media influence and my childhood stuff. And the fact that I was a stay-at-home mom and not practicing therapy anymore. And I was shifting my identity out of being a wife and into being a single person. I had built this structure of the American dream around me and questioning, why did I want this in the first place? Is this who I really am? Are we allowed to get out of this? I was trapped and drowning even in early retirement because I didn't want to blow up my life. But dreams and callings don't just go away. They keep knocking at the door over and over again. I kept fighting who I was, and I got sick. I was sick, honestly. I followed the medical medium for a long time. I don't do that anymore because I thought maybe if I could just eat the right foods, mostly raw foods, whole foods, vegan, no gluten, no dairy, no soy, no chemicals, get rid of every single thing and become the most natural, high raw diet person. But it ended up alienating me from my friends and family because they couldn't eat anywhere with me. I was so strict about it. and I was in a stressful relationship and with work and money and things. And I ended up gaining a lot of weight. And when I stopped doing it, when I stopped doing everything, when I did blow up my life, I lost 30 pounds and I was eating whatever I wanted and I wasn't exercising. So there is something to be said for cortisol and inflammation. And I was reading a post from a woman the other day who was deep in her medical medium journey and talking about how she wasn't going to go out to eat with friends anymore and how stressful it was. She tried to get these dietary restrictions and talk to the waiter, and she realized it was a big chaotic mess and she's never doing that again. I wanted to hug her because that was me. I couldn't enjoy my life. I was out of my mind with good intentions behind it. So I think minimalism and frugality becoming my foundation and slow, simple living being my foundation is because those are large frameworks that I can fit a lot of things into. There's no one way to be frugal. There's no one way to be a minimalist. And when I was just vegan or just medical medium or just this or just that, it was dogmatic. I look back on that time thinking like, what was going on? There's nothing wrong with wanting to heal your body through food. I'm grateful for the experience of eating amazing, beautiful produce at the same time expensive. Oh my God, thousands of dollars a month. And I look back and I'm like, what was going on? That was wild. Maybe I'll look back on this time and think the same thing. You never know what's going to happen. Our journeys are unique. I can't look at my former self, who was a shopaholic, a spendthrift, and a cluttered person, and be mad at her because those negative experiences have allowed me to be more allowing and open-hearted, open-minded today at 43, and have allowed me to clear more space in my home, listen to an audiobook like Simplicity Parenting, to get rid of short form content in our household, set limits on screens, and have more togetherness. There may come a time where I think that was nuts. Why did I do all of that? My channel is just about my journey. And I hope that you take what you want and leave the rest, because there is no one right way to do life. I think of people as little dots on a big circle. You might find people who are kind of next to you on the general population. And so you'll think like, oh, this person is just like me, but they're going to have some small aspect that is not just like you. We're all our own unique little snowflakes. You might find some snowflakes that are very similar to you, and those could be really fun to be with. You might find snowflakes that are the opposite of you. Those are really interesting and provocative and unique and bring up introspection and reflection and change for you. I love my people, and I went on a hike out in nature, and I got to jump in a waterfall today. Beautiful fresh water here on Oahu. I got to hang out with a really good friend of mine and just hold space. And I didn't have to change or judge or do anything. I was grateful to be there with my friend who is a mom like me, a single mom, and it was a vibe. I am so grateful for her presence in my life, and I don't get to see her all the time. But as an introvert, I value her friendship, just love our unique experience of life and getting to share and reflect and hold space for one another. That was a beautiful hike out in nature. And I can hear the sounds of the waterfall and see the little minnows and tadpoles in the stream and surrounded by green and the smells, and it was all the mud under your feet. It was amazing. Something I will say too, coming home from a hike on a Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock, getting to make lunch and watch some YouTube videos and then come sit here and make this video. I still advocate for retiring early if it's something that you're interested in. I knew traditional work was just not going to be my path. On my hike with my friend, we talked about it, and she kind of grounded me because I was like, well, after 3 years, we have a 5-year plan, and I'm going to save and I'm going to do this. And then at the end of it, I'm doing this. And then if I really need to go back to work, I will. And she was like, dude, you don't need to go back to work. She was like, tell me what you would do if you didn't go back to work. And I told her, and she was like, that sounds like a great plan. She was like, do that. And it just involves staying frugal, keeping my savings rate up for the next 3 to 5 years and optimizing my Airbnb and my fourplex in Florida, doing everything I can there to make it the best experience for guests and make the most beautiful home. I'm so lucky and happy to have that in my life. When we bought that house in 2016, I remember saying to the house, if you take care of me, I will take care of you. I love that house, built in 1890. It's this beautiful Victorian house. I fell in love with it immediately. My ex-husband kind of cared about it, but I knew this was my house. She has done wonders for my spirit. I renovated a lot of the house, and there's always more to do in a house that age. I get to live life at my pace. I feel extremely fortunate that I read Your Money or Your Life when I was 28 years old. I feel extremely fortunate that I decided to take a little bit of money and invest in the top 5 stocks that Warren Buffett invested in. I followed his percentages and did my best, and I did really well. Then I learned about ETFs and mutual funds and bond markets and gold and crypto, which I don't invest in yet. I'm so grateful that I didn't bury my head in the sand. And I just kept telling myself, you don't have to be an expert in this. You can just follow the experts. And no, you won't make as much as them, but it's enough. And when I live frugally and being a minimalist and keeping my house clean and watching my budget and really not spending money on anything except for experiences, don't get me wrong, I buy stuff, but really asking myself if something is adding to my life and not just spending for the sake of spending, my life is better because I've had all the stuff and it didn't make a difference. I was trapped in the big, beautiful American dream and found it wanting. I have had brand new cars worth $40,000 and meh. 2 weeks later, I could be driving an old 2001. I still think about my 2001 Avalon I had as my college car. I still miss that car. I wish I had kept it. I mean, that thing would have like 300,000 miles on it by now, but I bet it's still going. There's no thing out there that's going to fix what's going on within me. Growing up in chaos, frugality and minimalism keeps me feeling secure. Having a lot never did. Even when I was making a lot of money and I had enough to pay for clothes and vehicles and houses, there was less security then than keeping things very simple, knowing wherever every dollar is going, having my one fourplex that I can focus on, and then having the free time to hike on a Wednesday morning with my friends, make YouTube videos and be there for my kids and try to be the best parent I can and connect with them while I still have the opportunity. They're 6 and 9. And know that the most valuable things in my life are not things. I have a loving, beautiful partner who we got to play volleyball yesterday, and it was so exhausting, but I really cherish that time. And it's largely free. The ball did cost $100. I have 2 volleyballs, and I see this guy at the volleyball court. He's a coach, and he's got a bag full of 12. And I'm like, that's $1,200 worth of balls. Anyway, to each their own. I'm very happy about my brand new volleyball. It brings me lots of joy. And if I were to break it down per play, it's probably been used 100 times. So I take $1 every time I use it. My focus right now is to be in a place of allowing. I made a video recently where I talked about some friendship struggles I was having with a group of people. And I'm not having those struggles as much because I realized I had gotten into a place of control or wanting to control, whether the conversation was negative or positive, and realizing that's not possible. And that's also not friendship. Really want to get to a place where I'm just allowing people to have these step 1 moments, right? Where we're just experiencing one of the vast emotions of being human, and many of them are negative. And I have them too. And to sort of just let them, like, just say when it's coming up in a conversation with another person, just say to myself, I have moments like this too, and I learned and grew from it. And you don't need to change or fix, just listen and be here. And I'll just say, yeah, that sounds frustrating, or wow, it sounds like you're doing a great job. You're really showing up. And so I just kind of say those things on repeat. And sometimes that works really well. And I think the friends that I do have where that's really what they need, they maybe need a little validation, not any kind of fixing. And then I do have friendships where that's not enough. They want me to fully agree. And so I think discernment and learning what spaces are healthy and what are not based on those kinds of, like, am I allowed to not say something? Am I allowed to not have the same experience? Am I allowed to not offer advice or commiserate? And if that's the case, then everybody's golden. We just get to be who we are and witness this whole living life and growing up in front of each other. We get to form our soul family. So I'm really grateful today. I'm happy, joyous, and free today. I'm really grateful for this channel, and I'm grateful to get to be here and do this with you guys. Thanks for being here. If you like frugality and minimalism content, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.